Hey Book Dragons, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about my auto read authors. Let's go. Thank you to my patrons. I really appreciate all you do to support the channel. So a lot of people do this as auto buy authors, and that's a good way to phrase it too, because they're authors that you want to go out and just buy everything that they put out. So that makes sense. I've titled this Auto Read Authors because while I will read everything these authors have written, with one slight caveat on one author, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes, I might not buy the book right away. It depends on the price, it depends on, if I've gotten paid, it depends on a lot of different factors. I put here that these are my auto read authors because I want to read everything, or at least almost everything, that these authors have written, but I might not be able to buy them right away. I might check them out from the library first if I'm not quite in a position to buy the book yet. I do buy a lot of books on ebook, and honestly guys, when a book first comes out in ebook format, it's almost as expensive or more expensive than buying the physical book. So it's kind of like, okay, why? It's an ebook. But okay, I'm getting off my soapbox now. So these are authors that I plan to read everything that they've written, but it might take me a while to get to the point where I've read all that they've written. So here we go. And I'm going to start with a no-brainer. Anyone who's watched my channel for any length of time, it will not be surprised at all to hear me say this. And that is Neil Gaiman. I will absolutely read anything that Neil Gaiman writes. And eventually I hope to own everything that Neil Gaiman has written. I'm slowly but surely building my Neil Gaiman collection, but I will literally read anything that he writes. I'll listen to anything that he narrates. I will buy my grocery list from him if he makes it. I will buy a cookbook from Neil Gaiman. I will just, you name it, I will probably buy it. If it's written or overseen as executive editor by Neil Gaiman, I'll probably get my hands on it because he's that important to me. So I won't belabor that because, we could go on for a long time about Neil Gaiman, and I won't do that to you. Joe Abercrombie is another author that I want to read everything he's written. I have read the First Law trilogy, absolutely loved it. The ending was okay. I kind of would have hoped for a more solid ending, but it was okay. But it doesn't deter me from wanting to read anything that Joe Abercrombie's written because honestly, he is just a master at creating characters and witty prose and just a really fun fantasy romp altogether. So I want to read everything that he's written. Another author is N.K. Jemisin. Not long ago I finished the Broken Earth trilogy and I absolutely loved it. It's not my top favorite series of all time, but it's one of my favorite series. I just really, really love it, and I would definitely read it again. And I want to read everything that she's written, and she's written so many different books, so many different kinds of books, and I feel like I just need to sit down and prioritize some more N.K. Jemisin books to read. I do have quite a few already that I've collected of hers. I just need to pick which one I'm going to go to next and get on with it because she is just fantastic. She's a really amazing human being as well as an amazing author. So I'm really excited to get into more of her stuff. Dan Brown is another one. Now, so far I have only read the Robert Langdon novels. He does have other books. Digital Fortress is one. He has another one as well that's more of a standalone. I have not read those yet, but I hope to in the near future because he is an author that I just feel like I really need to read everything that he has written. And so that is on my to-do list. Erin Morgenstern is another auto read author. She wrote The Night Circus and The Starless Sea, both of which I have read and absolutely loved. They are neck and neck for my second favorite book of all time, actually. It's really hard for me to decide. But so far, I've put Starless Sea at number 3 and Night Circus at number 2. Those are the only books she's written so far. She is working on another novel currently, and I'm very, very excited to eventually get my hands on it because I will literally pick up anything that she's written. She is that good. Terry Brooks is another author that I want to read everything from. Now, currently, I've focused most of my energies on Shannara, which is his magnum opus series. It's his most prolific series. He's written others as well. Magic Kingdom of Landover, the Child of Light series. I'm not sure if that's what the series is called, but Child of Light was the first book. He's written a few other novels as well. Agatha Christie is another one. Now, I've read a lot of her books, but it's been years. I was a teenager when I read most of the books that I read by her. And I've recently been rereading some of them, and I hope to eventually read everything that Agatha Christie has written. That is a tough one because she's written, who knows, she's probably written 60 mystery novels. She's a phenomenal writer, and the books are short, they're not that long, so I'll probably eventually get to where I've read all of her books. But yeah, she's one that I want to read everything that she's written. I won't really have occasion to buy any new material from her because she's no longer living. But if there's any books that I don't own of hers currently, I will be buying them eventually. Jesse Teller is another one. Now, Jesse is a self-published author. He writes a lot of books in a world that he has created called Paralisk. And he's written a series called the Manhunter Trilogy. He's written a series called The Madness Wars. He wrote a book called Leafdom. And they all take place in this world of Paralisk. And they're phenomenal, guys. They're really, really good books. And I'm slowly making my way through his books as well to eventually read everything he's written. So Jesse does not really get talked about on BookTube, surprisingly. So I'm here to tell you to check out Jesse Teller because apparently I'm the only one currently that's talking about Jesse Teller on BookTube. So maybe there's others, and if you've seen other channels talk about him, let me know because I would love to watch some of their content and see what they say about him because I think he's phenomenal. Ursula K. Le Guin is another one. She is an asterisk for me only because I don't know that I'll necessarily read absolutely everything that she's written. I definitely want to read the entire Earthsea saga. I definitely want to read a lot of her science fiction novels, and I do have a book on, or a translation of The Tao Te Ching that she did, along with commentary. I want to read that eventually. But I might not get around to reading everything that she's written, but I certainly hope to. And she's another one that I am not only impressed with her writing, her prose, but I'm also impressed with what a amazing human being she was. Brandon Sanderson is another one that I have an asterisk on. I intend to read everything that he's written in the Cosmere. I've read a couple of things outside of the Cosmere. I do have some books that I want to read outside of the Cosmere, like Skyward and things like that, just to see what they're like and see if I like them as well as I like the Cosmere books. I've kind of put it in my mind that if I don't really enjoy anything outside the Cosmere, it's totally okay because I'm invested in reading the Cosmere. So I do intend to read every book that's published in that series. Patrick Rothfuss is another one. I intend to read anything that Patrick Rothfuss writes. I have read the first 2 books in the Kingkiller Chronicle, as well as the short novella focusing on Ari, the slow regarded silent things. Absolutely love them, so I look forward to reading anything that he writes. I read his blog posts every time he posts a blog post. That's how devoted I am to reading anything that he writes. Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman are another couple of authors that I want to read more books from. I read all 7 books in the Deathgate Cycle series. I recently finished that series and absolutely loved it. You will see a review from me here coming up in the next couple of weeks. And I want to read more from them. I want to read the Dragonlance novels that they wrote. They've even got a new Dragonlance novel that is coming out shortly. And so I want to read more from them. I want to see what all the hype is about with their Dragonlance novels. Because if the Deathgate Cycle is any indication, they are really phenomenal authors. And the final author on this list is Sir Terry Pratchett. Most of what he's written is the Discworld. There's a couple of other books outside the Discworld that I know he's written, so I may read those eventually too. But I'm definitely committed to reading all of the Discworld books eventually. What I've read so far of the Discworld I really loved, and so I hope to continue reading more from Terry Pratchett. Let me know what you think in the comments below. What do you think of this list of authors? Are these authors that you've read everything from? I'd be curious to know that, how many of you have read everything by one or more, or maybe even all of these authors. I don't know. But I would love to dialogue with you in the comments below. And tell me some of your auto-read authors or auto-buy authors. You can say auto-buy too. And until next time, guys, you know the drill. Make sure that you're reading more books. We'll talk soon.